Hi everybody, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I'm going to talk to you about the upcoming 2015 Board of Director elections for the Almond Glen Owners Association, and I'm going to talk to you about what exactly is required of a person who says they want to be on the board. So the easiest thing to say, first of all, and just go ahead and tell you the July meeting, the date has not been set, but you should get notice of that pretty soon. If you can't make it to the meeting, I would ask that you please either send your proxy in with a board member, a trusted neighbor, or mail the proxy back to the association so that we can get your vote. If we don't have enough proxies and enough people in attendance, then we can't have a vote. If we can't have the vote, then we can't do anything moving forward. We have to keep having meeting after meeting trying to get these elections done. Every year we re-elect a new board. We either re-elect people who are currently in the board positions or you elect new board members. And going into this year so far, we have 5 candidates right now who've said they're willing to run. And we'd like to see at least a few more candidates. If you're somebody that thinks you're maybe interested, what we'd like you to do is go to the almondglenhoa.org webpage, almondglenhoa.org or .com. It goes to the exact same place. Either contact the board directly at almondglenhoa@gmail.com. Let us know you're interested, name, address, phone number, and email so that we can get back with you. Or contact Danielle Rudisil of Association Management Group. You can contact her at drudisil@amgworld.com. That's drudisil@amgworld.com. Give her the same information, and then you should get a reply back saying that we know or that your information has been passed along, and you should also find your name on the almondglenhoa.com webpage. So what does a board member do? What will be required of you if you serve on the board? There's 5 board members. Why are there 5? Simple reason for that is that's the precedent that was set in 2013 when the board was handed over, or control of the neighborhood was handed over to a neighborhood board. There was 5 members elected. It gives us one person who's kind of an offset, so we have an uneven number, and then that number seems to work for our community. So going forward, we just continue to have 5 board members. We could change it if we wanted to, but there's just no need. So 5 board members will be elected, and the officers are then selected by the board. So when we go in for the meeting itself, I've had people ask me, what positions are up for re-election. All positions are up for re-election. The board will select a new president, a new vice president, a new treasurer, and a new secretary. And if there were any other officer positions they decided to create for some reason, they could do that and go forward from there. But there will be 5 board member positions, and that's what the neighborhood will be electing. So the board, when do they meet? We don't have a set meeting, and that's because we're all working professionals in this neighborhood. This is not a big retirement community with people who have every 3rd Tuesday that they want to dedicate to meetings. So what we do is generally I look at my schedule because I'm currently the president of the association, so I usually call for a meeting. And that's generally because I need guidance from the board for what to do for the next few months, or how do you want me to handle these projects. So I'll call for a meeting. Any board member can call for a meeting with 5 days notice to the rest of the board, and I'll send out a list of dates. And what I do is I just say, here's the dates that I'm available, which ones work for you. The other board members then email me back and tell me, these are the dates that I'm not available, and eventually we narrow that list down. So that's the way I would recommend that the new board do it, even if I'm not on the board. I think that's worked for us, so hopefully they'll do the same thing going forward, which makes it pretty easy for those of us who are working professionals to plan around our schedules and allot time. We generally shoot for a 2-hour meeting. Those used to be a whole lot longer. We've gotten a little bit better about getting them down to just 2 hours. So, and part of that is just I've gotten a little bit better about keeping us on task, and the board members have gotten to where they understand the time frames needed. And a lot of it is the big issues that we had in the community have been eliminated. We've got ourselves down to just small issues. So that's pretty much the way it works. We shoot for 1 board meeting per month, but we don't always have to have a meeting every month. We are required by the bylaws to have a quarterly meeting of the board. You have to remember, of course, all board meetings are open to anybody in the membership who wants to come and observe, though that doesn't mean that everybody gets to sit and participate in the meeting, because then the meetings would take forever. We could have 20 people show up and just sit there and talk. So the meetings are for the board to sit and discuss things, but anybody can come and watch. Trying to think if there's anything else that would help you in making the decision if you're trying to decide. I had some good questions from one of the most recent people who was running for the board, and I think that one of the questions that came up is if it was my best friend running, what information would I give them? And I've got several friends who live in communities where I've given them advice, so I'll give you the same advice that I've given my friends based upon my experience. And the first piece of advice is you should get involved. Even if you don't want to run for the board, I would highly recommend that you take the time to at least come to a meeting or two and hear what's going on, to try to stay active in your community. It's hard for us as board members to get every piece of information out there to the community when we have these meetings and where we're going with things. So the best way for you to be involved and know what's going on is to participate by coming to board meetings. We don't publish them because sometimes they're just kind of on the fly. We have 5 days notice, or in some circumstances we've had a few days notice and we've had the board members agree to waive the 5-day notice. So there are times where the meetings are very rapidly put together, and then the venue is small. So what I've always told people is if you're interested in participating, you should let us know, hey, I'd like to know when the next board meeting is so that I can be there, and then we would just email you like we do everybody else. Participation helps us and it keeps you involved. So I think it's important that we get as many people involved as we possibly can. I would rather have 50 people trying to get on the board and a real election where people are really having to look at the candidates as opposed to just 5 people who come in and get voted in by default, as long as we have enough people show up for the meeting. So please, if you're considering participation, go ahead and participate. I want to keep this video under 10 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out now. But if you have any questions at all, email the board or contact Danielle Rudisil and she'll get your questions over to the board. Thanks.